Arcade Heroes.
Greetings, it's Adam with ArcadeHeroes.com, and we've got some new game testing news popping up, or that has popped up here. It's on ArcadeHeroes.com, and the link's in the description below in case you care to read about this instead of hear me yapping about it. But Angry Birds Boom has been spotted on location tests. Now, really quick before I get into that, here, if we go way back to July 27th, 2015, this is where you can see that Angry Birds Arcade was announced as a limited Dave & Buster's exclusive, and then it came out for the rest of the industry. Perhaps many of you have played this particular version out there. This was developed by Play Mechanics, which is a subsidiary of Raw Thrills, and then the actual hardware was produced and distributed by ICE Games. And this one, you would use a launcher, as I recall. I think it was like a softball sort of launcher that was shot at the screen. But today, Play Mechanics is back working on the IP, and what they have is called Angry Birds Boom. Now, right before I get to the image, just a note that a disclaimer that I put on everything that's on test is don't make any final judgments on this. The game could, for one, not even be released. It could fail testing and then just kind of slink away into the ether. Or it could change drastically from what you see on test, as that's the whole reason why companies are supposed to do testing, is to see if the concept works, if it makes money. If not, they have to make changes, or perhaps there are certain cabinet changes that they don't want to implement until the software has been fully vetted, fully fleshed out. But here is the image. Let me zoom out just a little bit here so you can see that better. But this was snapped by a YouTuber known as Adventures with Crit. And so there's a link there, and I'll include one in the video description, help give him a boost. And this was shared to the Arcade Heroes Discord server by ArcadeZ. And so thank you for doing that. That, as we can see from this image, and this is all we know about it, Raw Thrills refuses to comment on anything that hasn't been officially announced yet. And so with that, it's, yeah, we could just go off of this. But it's currently using the Nerf cabinet, Nerf arcade cabinet. And again, that could change for the final thing, or they could just reuse this. I assume that would save them money on doing so. And then it would also allow them an easy way to, say, like, have a Nerf arcade next to an Angry Birds Boom, and then they just kind of feed off of each other. They're both redemption games, meaning video redemption. But I guess the only thing I would say that maybe they could add to this, if they keep this cabinet, is like an LED spotlight on this right here. You could probably mount that to the front of the control panel. On the side that the players wouldn't see, but just target it, and that way would brighten that up and maybe have it a little bit animated, flashing, whatever. But it uses the tried and true Jurassic Park arcade mounted cannons. So these would be potentiometer based, not a true light gun, in the sense that some people don't like it when you call these light guns. Electric guns, we could call them that. E-guns. But the gameplay itself, I don't know if this has been adapted from the 2015 Angry Birds arcade game or not. Might just be wholly original, but it looks like you have the pigs facing you, and so you as the player are firing Angry Birds. The birds are the ammo that, I mean, they are anyways, and you use that to knock down the pigs, take them out on the different blue structures that are here. And it does appear to have some pigs out and structures out in the distance, which I assume would be a little harder to hit because there's probably like a curvature on your bird. And so the further away they are, the more points that you should be rewarded with. Again, I would assume, since we don't have any video of this in action. And I'd also assume that there's going to be multiple levels. As I recall, Nerf Arcade had 3 or 4 different ones, and so perhaps this will have that many, maybe more, maybe less, who knows. But the other question that might be coming to mind is, when would this be hitting arcades? Well, that again depends on whether or not it passes the testing phase, if it's making the numbers, if it's getting played enough to show that, hey, this is going to definitely be worth putting into production at this many units. Then I would guess sometime this year, but it's happened before where Rothrills has tested a game for years, and it's something that gets tested and goes unnoticed by people like myself, so we don't give it any boost. But I think it was Winter X Games, the snowboarding one that Rothrills did. They said something like it had been on test for 4 years before it was actually put into production. And so there's various factors that could lead to why something might not be ready to go, say, right now. Perhaps there are other games that come along that have more priority. But something like this, with this sort of IP, I wouldn't be surprised if we'll see it sometime later this year. I wouldn't expect it to be launching anytime soon. If that was the case, then it would have been at Amusement Expo. One place that I will make a guess that it could show up at is the International Bowl Expo 2024. That's happening, I think, in July. It's June or July, somewhere around there. Rothrills has unveiled stuff there in the recent past, and so it's very possible that they could use that event to be the launch pad for Angry Birds Boom, which could mean, a late summer release for this. But if it's not there, or if it is there and they're just not ready on production yet, it could be more, say, fall, or worst case scenario, maybe winter. But, I mean, again, just from the looks of it, this seems to be one of those games that's not too far off from being ready. But I guess another factor that can come into play here is just that Rothrills has recently released several games. You have T-Rex Safari VR Adventure, you have Godzilla Kaiju Wars VR, you have the two-player version of Minecraft Dungeons Arcade, the Marvel Contest of Champions arcade machine, and so they already have a lot of products that are just hitting the market. And what you generally want to do as an arcade manufacturer is not stomp on your own sales. Now, granted, a lot of the stuff that Rothrills has done has been a lot higher end, like the VR games are in the $40,000 to $50,000 range, and so obviously this is not competing in a sense in that, as this should be significantly cheaper. I haven't seen what the price on Nerf arcades is at lately, but I would assume a little bit over 10,000, between 10 to 16,000, somewhere around there. But yeah, maybe more could be added to the price due to the IP. I'm not sure. But, what do you think about this one? Again, not a very long video until we get more information on it. But seems to be a sensible one to me for the redemption space. People still like Angry Birds. I don't know what the numbers are on downloads and fans out there, but it still seems to be an IP that's held up over time. And then just, something that's not super expensive VR that is out there. And of course, since it spits out tickets, that's always something that can do well. I shouldn't say it's guaranteed to do well. There are some redemption games out there that flop. But let me know what you think of this one in the comments below. Stay tuned to arcadeheroes.com for much more on new arcade games. In fact, if you're disappointed in this being a video about a redemption game and you hate redemption games, but you want to see news on hardcore, real video games that have nothing to do with tickets, do stay tuned, as there's going to be a lot of new fighting games announced later this week once EVO Japan 2024 hits. As far as I'm aware, the only company that's going to be announcing these is XR Arcadia, but I do have some videos that I shot at Amusement Expo that have been on embargo until this event hits, and so once it does, then I'll be able to post those. But there are several games that will be part of the announcements that I didn't get a chance to play at that time, and so I'll be covering everything. Maybe I'll do a live stream if anybody's interested in that. But Yeah, there's lots and lots of new arcade games headed our way very soon, whether they're regular video games or redemption games. But anyways, thank you for watching this one. We'll catch you on the next video.